Hello everybody and welcome to the quick starter guide for my first course on Chessable. This course I did is a complete repertoire for black against the move 1 e4, and it is based on the move e5, which remains highly popular among the best players in the world. Black does not give any ground, claims a stake in the center, and it's just a move not only that I know best, but also that I like best by far. So it felt like a natural topic for me. In this course, we will go into a lot of detail in pretty much every line that makes any sense for white. But in this quick start guide, I want to give you guys an overview over the territory that is covered so that you have a good grasp of the variations without me burying you with 28 moves of tactics, complicated stuff. So we'll start with white's most likely tries. By far the best move for white in this position, not telling any news here, is to knight f3, attacking the pawn on e5, and our repertoire is based on knight c6. It's not a Petrov repertoire. We defend that pawn. Now, white has a bunch of choices. By far the most popular is the Ruy Lopez. We'll start with that one, then we will cover the second most popular, the Italian, and then we'll move on to somewhat less popular lines, like the Scotch, and so on and so forth. So the Ruy Lopez, even though the Italian is almost just as popular, it is still the lion's share of the course. It is such a complex opening. Both sides have a lot of choices. So I feel even if you don't need to know all the, or want to know all the theory here, understanding Ruy Lopez positions will help everybody as a chess player. And as our weapon, I have chosen the Marshall, my favorite opening, which is based on the move a6. I have a lot of sympathy for the Berlin, and I believe in terms of pure equalizing, the Berlin is at least as good as the Marshall, if not easier, but it also leads to drier position to some endgames that I'm not that happy with, and I do think that the Marshall remains not only correct, but a formidable, is that how it's pronounced? Formidable weapon to play with black, while leaving somewhat more play in the position as the Berlin, if we want to at least. So after a6, the main move is bishop a4. Of course, I'm also covering the exchange. We'll get to that later. After bishop a4, black should go knight to f6, develop the knight, hit the pawn, and white usually ignores that attack by castles, putting black into the position to make a decision where the game should go. He could go knight takes e4, the open Spanish. He could play bishop c5, sideline that Carlsen enjoys. He could play b5, followed by bishop c5. But we will start with the move bishop to e7. More often than not, we will continue by playing b5. But starting with bishop e7, intending b5 followed by castles, is the most flexible way to get to our beloved Marshall. Now, the main move is the move rook to e1. White covers the pawn and intends to eventually occupy the center with pawns to c3 and d4. This move has a very serious alternative in the form of 6d3 that I also spend a lot of time on, because at the higher levels it is pretty much as popular and as dangerous as the move rook to e1. But let us start with the classics. Rook to e1. Now white is threatening to take, followed by taking on e5. So we gotta throw in b5 there. Big rule of thumb. Whenever white defends his e4 pawn, don't forget to play b5, because otherwise you might lose your e-pawn.